Hey.
You know, didn't you say it was going to be your fault if there was any issues?
Sure. Oh, that's right. It's my fault.
Yeah, hang on.
You know, I don't know why after 60 years of living on this earth and married for 40, why I wouldn't know that. Oh, wait, I do know the answer to this.
Just a
Slow
second.
Yeah. So how you been?
Okay, now you should be fine.
You sure?
Yeah?
Okay. Oh, there we go. We're beginning our stewardship theme. It's a 4-part series, and each of the weeks we'll be looking at a different aspect of it. The theme, if you haven't heard yet, is from small beginnings, great things come. And we'll be looking at a number of different verses in support of that, but the idea that from these small things, great things come. And you heard about our pumpkin patch and all the rest, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. I grew up in southern Minnesota, as most of you know, in Freeborn County, and my grandfather's farm was a place that we as kids would love to go out to. Grandpa had not much for equipment, you know, this was his tractor and a small plow, and the 160 acres that he farmed, he did so, and it took some time, but it was a part of a lifestyle for him. We loved going out there and being a part of Grandpa's farm. One of the things that a pastor told me about, Pastor Larry Strang, is that when he was growing up in a southern Minnesota small town, they went to church at Zion Lutheran in this town, and it looked much like this. This isn't exactly it. But one day he, as a young boy, came home, and his parents were sitting at the table. And as they sat at the table together, they had in front of them a sheet of paper, a white sheet of paper, folded 3 times. It had come into mail to them. And it had come into the mail to every member of Zion Lutheran Church. And what this was the listing at the end of the year of all of the giving that had taken place by all the members of the church. And so alphabetically all the way down, and it listed the amount that they gave. Great idea, don't you think? Well, they called it the scandal sheet. And as Mom and Dad were looking at it at the table, Larry asked them, and he said, Mom, what's all this about? He says, well, they call this the scandal sheet. And if you look on it, you'll see what people give. You see, it was so easy to do comparison then. Because they would look at, and these names have been changed to protect the innocent, they look at the Anderson family, and they hardly have enough money to put plumbing in their farm, you know, let alone or the farmhouse. And so, yet they give so much and they have so little. Or how about the Johnsons? I mean, they have the biggest farm around, and yet look how little they give. And so their giving decision as to how they were going to support the ministry of the church was based on comparison. What are they to this? And because they're good Midwestern Scandinavians, you see, it was one of those things where the scale was, you don't want to be too haughty, and you don't want to be too cheap. So you gave somewhere reasonable in the middle. Well, we don't want that, and most people don't want this to be the way that the church does it any longer, and most do not. But with that in mind, we want to turn this around. We want to turn this over. And so, sure, just like the plow in the field and the good soil, we have to prepare it. And so the idea of comparison giving or putting us like the new members should be giving more, or these folks should be, or the like, we want to stop doing that entirely. We want to turn this over and start to look at ourselves as ones who give out of what God's abundance for us, and we give out of the grace, not because someone else gives anything, but because of what God is doing in our lives. Everybody understand that idea? Turn that over. So, good seed, as we heard today, is so important, and it falls everywhere. Wherever God casts it to be, that good word comes and it bears fruit in different ways. And these very small seeds, these very small beginnings, great things will come. Holy cow, what did it happen there? John?
First part of June.
June. So we're in June, and out at the Nesvold farm, the stewardship group met. And you can see how hard they know how to hold shovels up. And of course, there's somebody in charge telling the shovelers what to do. I don't know why they did that. So there they are, they're preparing the soil out at the Peace Lutheran pumpkin patch. In the Bible verse from 1 Corinthians 3:6, if you read along with me, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has made it grow. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. The one who plants and the one who waters has one purpose, and they will each be rewarded according to their labor. Please note and underline that for yourselves in your Bible. But only God makes the things grow. Okay? All the things we do to prepare for it, the tilling of the soil, the planting the seed, all of that's important, and watering and the nurturing and the like. But most important is to turn it back to God, because God will make it grow. Not only that, but they did exactly that. And here's what happened out at the pumpkin patch. The Peace Lutheran Church pumpkin patch. And it did start to grow, and the seeds of the pumpkin started to come up out of the ground and start to vine about. And he said it's like a mustard seed, which is sown upon the soil. And though it is the smaller than any other seeds that are upon the soil, whoa! This is where transitions are really important. Upon the soil, yet they've sown, it grows up and becomes the larger of all the garden plants, and forms large branches where the birds of the air can meet under its shade. There it is. It starts to grow, and it starts to vine out. And there they are, even bigger, as the pumpkin patch continues to grow. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you'll bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Remember, it is God that makes things grow. So from these small beginnings, right, from these little seeds then, great things grow. And this is throughout the whole Bible. I mean, if you take the story of King David, if you remember, he was just a little shepherd boy out in the hillsides and tending to the flocks. And Samuel comes and he's looking to find who it is to anoint as the next king. And he comes to David's family. And he goes to the oldest brother. And he goes to the next brother. And the next brother. Nope, none of you. Is that all? Well, there's my little puny youngest brother. He's out tending the sheep. And they bring David in. And David was the one who would then be king and was anointed by Samuel. Not only that, but remember the story that comes out of that? And that's the story of David and Goliath. And it was just one small stone, right, against a giant of a warrior. That God was able to take small things and do great things with it. You heard the mustard seed story, of course. And who doesn't remember the parable or the story of the feeding of the 5,000? What did you have? You had a little boy amongst all those adults. And that little boy had a small lunch, which just had a couple fish and the loaves of bread that were within it. Yet he was willing to give what he had so that God could take the small things and feed 5,000. Take small things and make them great. And the woman who lost the coin in her house or the lost sheep, take the least of these things and then make them great because of that. God uses the least and the smallest to accomplish these great things, and it's throughout the whole Scriptures. I am the vine, Jesus says. You are the branches. This is my Father's glory that you what? Bear much fruit. Yeah. That's our task as a church. That's our task as individuals, that we bear fruit. And remember again that line, it is God who makes these things grow in us and in our church here at Peace Lutheran Church. Well, the problem is that weeds start to grow up too. I don't know about your gardens and the like or your fields, but weeds do come. And in Matthew 13, you'll see that the enemy has sown the weeds amongst the good, amongst the plants that are growing. And for us in stewardship, there are 3 weeds in particular that we need some solid roundup work on, or other things. And these are this. The first is that the weeds of scarcity are that there is not enough. There's not enough to go around. I don't have enough to give back to God what God has given us. The second weed that we're concerned about is that more is always better. We need more and more and more. And so we build bigger barns in order to fill them up. And we learn that those things aren't worth anything, really. It's what God puts before us in Jesus Christ that's most important. And that third weed is that it's kind of that whole thing about our society now, too, is that there's just the way it is. We can't change anything, so let's just go along with it and make it so. Those weeds are devastating not only to our ministry here, but the support and the financial gifts that you give. And so those weeds have to be taken care of. And so we cultivate. I just think of Grandpa out on his farm all going up and down the roads, and he's taking care of the weeds in between the beans. And with that, we get rid of those weeds by remembering one thing, and is that God provides for our every need. And that abundance that God has given to us is more than we'll ever need as well. That's important for us because it is by God's grace in Jesus Christ that we have all of these things that are given to us as a gift. Not that we deserve them or earn them or work that hard, only that God loves us that much. And so that kind of cultivation will produce big things, great things. Well, you see, this church is an example of that, how from small beginnings, great things will come. It wasn't that long ago that this church began, and it met at the community center. It rented a space to be in. It set up chairs. It got hymnals out. Everybody had their part in getting ready in the morning for worship, and they opened the doors of the community center so that people would come. And they did come. From those small beginnings, then great things came. And so today here, almost beginning of 8 years later, we sit here in this lovely sanctuary and we gather together with all of you fine folks today. More than that, I want to share with you some good news if you haven't heard that. But our worship growth continues, and we continue to have more people. Now, some of you recognize this right away because somebody sat in your seat this morning. Which makes you come earlier, which is good. But our growth continues, and some of you who are visiting for the first time today, or others of you who are new members here, you are a part of that growth, and so worship growth continues. Membership alongside that also continues to grow. We keep adding new families to our directory and to our membership. If you look at baptisms last year, we had twice as many baptisms last year. It was just wonderful. All the children and adults who were young people who were baptized as well. So we see a growth in children and youth. And not only that, but the support of ministry, both in your gifts that you give, but also in how we use those gifts for ministry, has continued to grow each year as we have gone along. Here's a look at worship attendance as it has continued to go up, and then also a look to if it continues at its present rate, where it might head. These are indicators that God is bearing fruit in and amongst us. Not only that, but the number of children and youth continue to grow as well. This is another indication to us that God is bearing fruit in and among us. Remember who it is that makes things grow? God makes things grow. And lastly, our gifts of our money help to do this and provide for our ministry support. And that also continues to grow. All of which, for we say, thank you, Lord, for this that you are doing in and amongst us. Thank you, Lord, for all of this. And I personally, as your pastor this morning, say thank you to each of you for that kind of support that you do. Well, from small beginnings then, to remind you of this theme and this whole thing with pumpkins and the like, I have a gift for you today. And I'll ask the ushers to pass these out. When I first was introduced, they look like this. When I was first introduced to pumpkin seeds, roasted pumpkin seeds, the image in my mind was where you have a great big pumpkin and you go in and you get all that goo out, and those pumpkin seeds are slimy, and I'm going, who in the world would want to eat those? And the people said, well, we should have pumpkin seeds to give to people to remind them of that. And I said, why would we give those out? People will be disgusted by it. And so we bought a bag, and we opened them up, and we all sat around and we said, hey, these aren't bad at all. These are kind of good. a little chewier, but they are very good. And so today, take this with you as a reminder of the theme of stewardship from small beginnings, great things come, and these pumpkin seeds that were planted off into the East Lutheran pumpkin patch and have grown into nice big pumpkins, which will be here next week. And there is a gift of these pumpkins for each of our children they'll receive next week. And also look on here because it has on there a listing of each of the weeks coming up and what's going on with that. So, what, you get what are they called, stitches? Yeah, you get those, and you get seeds, and gospel. By the way, do you know who the second happiest people in the world are? Anybody? Because you're all wondering who the first happiest people are. Well, the second happiest people in the world are people who are grateful for what God is doing. The first happiest people they are people who are generous in their giving for what God has given to them. And so we thank you for that. Remember today, I am the vine and you are the branches, Jesus says. For this is my Father's glory, that you should begin what? Bear much fruit. You can see the pumpkins out in our pumpkin patch that have grown all summer long and were picked last Sunday and are ready to come to Peace Lutheran next week and be a part of our worship together. Oh, by the way, I heard that this was a new stewardship technique, and we want to be sure to lift this up. I'd like all of you to take a piece of paper and a pen and write down your net worth and put your name on it and turn it in. You're laughing. Once a pastor was so bold to ask a person, well, what is your net worth? For which the person said, well, that is something you should never ask, Pastor, and I have a few extra words that I can't use in church about that. Here's what I want you to think about when we're talking about giving. And we're talking about supporting what God is doing here, right? The growth that God is doing here. And it is this, is that our net worth is not a dollar figure. Everybody say it with me. Our net worth is not a dollar figure. Our net worth is what God has done for us in Jesus Christ. That is our net worth. When we were baptized, each and every one of you, or almost all of you, we said, I have called you by name, and you are mine. God adopted you into his family, right? God made you one of his own. And in that, you have great worth. Great worth. Not because of us or what we've done, but because of what God and Jesus Christ has done for you. So your net worth doesn't have anything to do with money. It has to do with what God has done for you today. So, listen, we got stewardship packs out in the commons area. They're in alphabetical order. There should be one for you. Please let us know if there's not. Ministry board people and stewardship committee will be out there to help hand those out. Take one home with you today. And inside there is a letter from me. And with that is kind of an explanation of what we're asking you to do. And one of the things at the very top is please pray. Please join this whole congregation, as we know that prayer matters. And if we start laying down prayer for what God will do by taking small things, small beginnings, and make them great here at Peace, we know that that will happen. Inside there, you'll find a faith promise. Everyone calls them a pledge card, but here at Faith, we call it, or here at Peace, we call it a faith promise because it has to do with our faith and the promise we make not to each other but to God. And we ask you to fill that out. And please make note that down at the very bottom there's that oval and there's a checkbox there. If you don't want to fill out one of these, okay, that's fine. No problem at all. But will you let us know that by simply putting your name on and checking that box and return it? That's okay. We know that everyone has different reasons, but for those who do, fill out the rest of it, and then you're going to put it into a nice envelope that we provide, put your name on it, and then we're all going to get together on Sunday the 28th at 9 o'clock, and we're going to celebrate the great things that God does from small beginnings, and lift that up amongst us. And that's the great thing that can happen. That's not one out of our pumpkin patch, is it? This is, how do you say it, hot seagull? Yeah. This is, at this time, the current record holder for the state of Minnesota, 1,918 pounds. Isn't that something? But that's just how God can take little seeds and do great things here. Amen? Amen. All right, stand and sing.